938 Live. This is Talkback.
Some would-be residents of Fernvale Lea in Sengkang are demanding a refund on their flats after finding out that the Columbarium will be located near their homes. Even some current residents around Fernvale Link are jumping on the bandwagon, and together, the would-be residents, they've started an online petition to stop the development of the Columbarium in the temple, which is expected to be completed by 2016. Now, the petition has garnered more than 800 signatures. Question is this another case of NIMBY, not in my backyard?
If not in yours, then whose is the question.
Absolutely.
If all of us took objection to things like nursing homes at the void deck or elder care centers at the void deck, which has happened before in Singapore,
yes.
Hospices near our homes don't want that at all. Where would these facilities be built? In this case, what are your concerns related to columbariums, particularly in this instance where it actually will be situated within a temple? I think some people don't even understand the different functions of columbariums and then crematoriums.
That's right. Two separate things
Columbariums is where the remains of your loved ones are stored.
That's right. Sometimes called cremains.
The cremains, yes, that's the thing. So the cremated remains, in other words.
Yeah.
That's where they're stored.
Yeah.
Crematoriums are, of course, where the bodies are cremated.
That's correct.
Question is, again, if not in our backyard, where else? And what should we do with the remains of our loved ones in a land-scarce Singapore? If you're a resident of Fernvale Link or a would-be resident of Fernvale Lea, call us on 669-11938. Talk to us also on Facebook, official 938 Live. Now, Peter Chia has written to us on Facebook, has commented on this issue. He says that this is the list of all the NIMBY issues that have come up in the past few years. He sums it up pretty well. The foreign worker dormitory in Serangoon Gardens.
Oh, yeah.
Several nursing homes in several areas. Columbariums. And then, of course, I'm going to add to that elder care centers. Daycare centers.
Even hospitals. People
you don't
are objecting
want them
to that.
near your homes. Some people say they're worried that the property prices will go down if their homes are located near those areas. That their homes will depreciate in value. People don't want to live near these types of facilities for many reasons. Some people see it as taboo. You shouldn't be living near such facilities where there are old people or sick people or dead people or even just the remains of deceased persons. Others say, traffic congestion is a concern. For instance, if you live near a columbarium during Qingming, so on and so forth, there'll be lots of people coming into the area and there'll be traffic congestion. There'll be people parking illegally. Okay, I think those issues could be considered valid, but the authorities should deal with them separately. So have better enforcement, create more space for people coming into the area, perhaps.
In fact, traffic police always make those announcements, and you may also have heard them on 938 Live as well. So they're certainly doing stuff.
Well, Wu Wenhui has also written to us on Facebook. She says that I believe she is an existing Fernvale resident and is grateful for how this area has developed and grown. There was nothing here 10 years ago. And she says, I am sure most of us are actually okay with the columbarium.
See?
So here's the other thing. Are we just hearing from the vocal minority?
Yeah.
And this was an issue that came up in the case of Woodlands as well, where an elder care center and its location was in dispute.
That's right.
But he said they're okay with it. In fact, they see it as a convenience. It's an amenity to have it at the void deck or in the next block.
I live in Woodlands. A hospital is going to be coming up real soon. I'm not too far from there. We're looking forward to having that hospital close by.
Well, perhaps a hospital is different. Perhaps a columbarium or a crematorium or an elder care center is seen differently.
But a
hospice is seen differently. Anything associated with death and weakness, perhaps. Call us on 669-11938. Tell us how you feel about this. Are these people just making a mountain out of a molehill? And why should property prices go down when it comes to flats and homes located near such facilities? What does that say about us as a society?
It's all perception, isn't it? I mean, why? Yeah, exactly. It's perception, and then it's a lot to do with our values as well. Because, look, at the end of the day, day. We are all going to go old. We are going to all die one day. These are all inevitabilities of life itself.
And if you don't want the manifestations of these realities in your neighborhood, then whose neighborhood is the question? Call us on 669-11938. We'll talk to you in just a moment on Talkback.
Is this another case of NIMBY, not in my backyard?
And if not in yours, then whose? Call us on 669-11938. Now, we have heard of NIMBY cases before. Residents in Woodlands, for instance, also objected to plans for a daycare center for the elderly at the void decks of 2 blocks in Woodlands.
Right.
And then we also saw some residents in Toyi. They protested against plans for studio apartments for the elderly in the area. Now, they have cited various reasons for all of these things. Some of them say it's a space issue. We would like the void decks, for instance, to be free so that they can be open spaces for our children to
run
play.
around.
Actually, you shouldn't be playing too many things at the void decks, yeah. Or for people just to gather and talk to each other, sit down in the afternoons. And various other issues have been brought up. If blocks of flats or tall condominiums are built, it will block the view, the wind, that sort of thing. In the case of Fernvale, they are taking objection to the Columbarium that will be situated within a temple. Now, some have cited the possibility of traffic jams during the Qingming festival. Others, of course, say it's taboo to be living near a Columbarium. The residents should have been told about this earlier. In fact, it was indicated in a brochure.
That's right.
Right? This is according to Dr. Lam Pin Min. He is Sengkang West Member of Parliament, and he said that actually the brochure for the area to talk about information on the area had this information in it. Some are saying that it should have been bigger, the print, not so fine. What do you think? 669-11938. Whatever the issues, why do people take objection to the building of such facilities near their homes still in this day and age?
We've got Eric joining us. Hi, Eric.
Hey, hi.
Thanks for holding on. Good morning.
Good morning. I actually have some point of view. Okay, if you are building all these things in around the residential area, why not be thinking of building at somewhere at the commercial industrial area?
But why not in a residential area is the question.
Yeah, okay, you see, because the problem is that they were saying that convenience to the residents. Yeah, so I feel that because this is like something like every year there's one affair only, so not necessary to be so near to the residents' houses.
You see, here's the thing. I mean, the core issue is that people are taking objection to being near these types of facilities and buildings like Columbarium, so on and so forth. And part of it is because of the taboo. Don't you think that if such a facility was built in a commercial area, the business people in that area too would take objection to it?
Wrong feng shui or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, the core of the issue is that we still think this way. And perhaps that type of thinking needs to be addressed. What do you think, Eric?
Yeah.
Wherever you put it, there'll be people protesting about it because of the way we think.
Yeah, because human beings are always think in this way. We are all living people, and we stay in a place, we sleep together with the dead. So normally people will not like it. So eventually the property market will drop and nobody will buy.
You see, that is the fear of some of the residents in the area, I'm sure, which is why they have raised this issue. Thank you, Eric, for contributing. Really appreciate your standpoint on this as well. Eric suggested moving it to a commercial area, but I say no matter where you move it, there'll always be people saying we don't want this place near our place, our place of work, nor our place of, our homes.
Yeah.
So my question really is, shouldn't we be addressing the way we think about such issues? Is it really so taboo? Plus, we are a land-scarce nation. These things have to be built somewhere. They have to be located somewhere. And if not in your backyard, then whose?
And these are our departed relatives and friends. Okay, we've got Leonard on the line. Hi, Leonard. Thanks for joining us.
Hi. Yep.
What do you think?
Okay, I'm a resident that's living a stone throw away from Bright Hill, Columbarium, as well as Crematorium.
Right.
Okay, so what is it like for you? Do you have issues with that?
No, in actual fact, I feel very peaceful. The only issue is during the Qingming where the parking is. It's basically all an individual kind of thinking.
Are the authorities doing anything to address the parking issues and the traffic congestion? Because that's also something that the Fernvale residents have brought up and the Fernvale Lea residents have brought up too.
Well, I don't really see the authorities coming in. More often than not, when it comes to Qingming, I would always avoid going home or staying in my parents' place or even like taking a short break in Malaysia.
It seems that you are coping with the situation and it's not a problem or a taboo type issue for you to be living near a place like that. In fact, you said you feel quite peaceful living near a place like that. So what do you think of the residents who are now saying that this will not work? They are demanding a refund on their flats after finding out that this columbarium will be located near their homes. What do you think
Well, take a drive down to Bright Hill one evening and experience it themselves, and they will know how peaceful it is.
What if they just don't agree with you? I mean, the fact is that in the past, when there were issues with daycare centers for the elderly or hospices being located near residential areas, people have said, oh, the property prices are going to go down because people find it taboo.
On the contrary, I don't believe so. Bishan used to be a cemetery.
That's
and
correct.
Look at it. And right now, I mentioned it's going above 1 million. What's happening then?
So what do you think is happening then? Do you think this is a case of just a vocal minority speaking up?
It's definitely a vocal minority. All right? People who are living there are not really kicking a fuss. It's those people that are moving in that's making a fuss.
Well, do they have a valid point is the question. Give us a call. 669-11938 is our number. Another issue that has been brought up is that it wasn't very clear in the brochures outlining the amenities in the area that this columbarium would be located near people's homes.
That's right.
So some people are saying that there should have been greater transparency. Perhaps the information should not have been in fine print. It should have been in big, bold letters so that everyone would know and they would be able to make an informed decision about whether or not to buy a flat in the area. Call us 669-11938.
Okay, we got Miss Lim hanging on. Hi, Miss Lim.
Hi, morning.
Good morning.
My issue is more like I'm staying in Pasir Ris, block 577, and they have a town council right at the void deck.
Town council.
Yeah,
The town council office, yes?
And
Okay.
this was just built many years ago without. We are not informed of this town council, the problems that they create in the long run.
What are the problems that you are experiencing with that town council office at the void deck?
Number one is a parking problem. Sometimes they have some VIP coming and they cordon off the whole area, the parking place, and then the residents couldn't unload their stuff when we got groceries to do and things like that. And then
What else?
This is really inconvenient for the residents because how do I know you're going to cordon this area, cut off this area, and then we got to lug our things from our car park all the way back home.
Right, I understand. Anything else that has come up?
Besides this, and we get a lot of non-residents, contractors, blah, 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 parking their cars all over the shop, all over the place. And then I think it's a mess. Sometimes it's a chaos kind of thing. It causes unnecessary traffic jam at the small little car park. The place that leads to the multi-story car park.
Ms. Tan, I understand what you're saying, and I am sure that many residents listening in right now might agree with you as well. But the question is, if not in your backyard, then whose backyard? So wherever these facilities are located, they are going to cause some amount of inconvenience. So what do you think? I mean, if you had to suggest where to locate this town council office, what would you say?
Come on, they are commercialized, all right? So they should be in some commercial place or somewhere else, not in right under our void deck. Okay, it doesn't benefit us in that sense. I mean, if you do some childcare, whatever, for the residents, I can understand. But council, I don't think it should be at our void deck. And the next thing is people just undress themselves right in the open space.
What is this about now?
Yeah.
Why are they doing this?
The contractors and the workers happily undress themselves and then they change into their contractor clothes or whatsoever in a public area.
Have you spoken to your town council about this or your MP about this? Because perhaps some of the issues surrounding this town council office being located at the void deck can be managed better. For instance, the parking issues and how the contractors and all that conduct themselves. Have you spoken to the authorities?
Nobody cares. And the smoking area is even worse. That is the only sheltered corridor that leads to the bus stop. And everybody smokes there. What do you want us to do? Get lung cancer?
Okay, thank you very much for expressing that, Ms. Tan. Really appreciate your feedback as well. I also think that if such facilities are going to be built, the situation just needs to be handled better on several fronts.
Definitely.
So, for instance, the traffic congestion, the lack of parking spaces, how people who are going into these facilities conduct themselves. So perhaps it's a question of better management rather than where these places are located.
Sure.
Give us a call, 669-11938. Tell us what you think.
Now, some would-be residents of Fernvale Lea in Sengkang are demanding a refund on their flats after finding out that a Columbarium will be located near their homes. And even after a closed-door dialogue with Sengkang West Member of Parliament Dr. Lam Pin Min, who assured them that the Chinese temple housing the Columbarium would not be providing cremation or funeral services. 400 future Fernvale residents queued up to give their names and contact details for updates on the possibility of a refund.
Should they get a refund?
Yeah, that's the question. Yeah.
We had a few people call us earlier. One of them, Irks, actually lives near the Bright Hill Temple.
That's right.
Where they have similar services. And he says there's really nothing wrong with living near a place like this. And he was saying, in fact, he feels that it's a rather peaceful area.
Exactly.
Property prices in that area have not been affected
Certainly not.
by the presence of such facilities. So the question is, the people who are making noise about this and saying that they take offense to this Columbarium being located near their home, whatever it is they're worried about. Some of them talk about traffic congestion, potential traffic congestion as a result of this facility being nearby. Of course, others feel it's taboo. Should they get a refund, even though it was indicated in brochures that this particular facility would be in the area?
Correct.
Give us a call, 669-11938.
Hi, Ben. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Well, I think complaints we will definitely have for any issues, and we all just need to deal with complaints as they come. But more importantly is, I think we've always been accustomed to profits, assets, growth, and the likes, and people are actually very worried if things that are not perceived to bring value will affect their asset price. They will start to complain. So that's the starting point.
But should they be allowed to get their way here, considering that if such things were not built in their backyard, it would have to be in someone else's backyard? One of our callers earlier suggested moving it to commercial areas.
Yeah, that's correct.
And I'm sure that people in those areas too will say, no, I don't want a columbarium nearby. It'll affect the feng shui in my business and so on and so forth. So should people be allowed to have their way when it comes to these things, considering we are a land-scarce nation? We need such facilities as well.
Well, if you have a top school next to your HDB flat, they'll be more than happy to have it because it increases their values, right? But I think what is also important here is I think the perception of the population thinks that their interest is not taken in consideration before any decision is made. So when people feel that the interest is not to be looked after, in Singapore, we can't protest, right? So what we do our standard Singapore way, complain. So they start to complain first to show you that, look, why don't you plan this far ahead? Why don't you put the temple there way before even putting residents, selling it to the HDB? Why? No, they're just looking at interest. Why are you not putting my interest?
So self-interest. At the end of the day, though, I mean, surely that isn't the way to go. How do you think that sort of thinking can be addressed? Because over the years, we've even seen objections to a daycare center for the elderly being built at the void decks of HDB blocks.
Well, as I said, the perception of whether, for this case, the government had been looking after the interest of the
But
public.
how much consultation do you think there needs to be? Because if there were consultation on every little thing, then nothing would get built.
Well, I would not use the word consultation. You can have many Brazilian consultation sessions if you want to. But more importantly is, number one, if the government stops always talking about commercial mindedness, profits, meritocracy, asset enhancement, or whatever comes first before everything else, people will know that, look, you're looking after my interest, my social well-being, the heartstrings type of stuff, before even talking about dollars and cents. Then people will perceive that, yes, you're always looking after me, and sometimes, yes, we need to bring in some profits here and there, because this is public goods. This is public we're talking about, right?
Right. So it shouldn't just be about profits, you're saying, right? It should be about more than that, and people need to acknowledge that and perhaps start to think that way. In this particular case, do you think that the residents should be given a refund, the ones who are asking for it, even though the authorities say that it was indicated in the brochures that this particular columbarium will be located in the area?
Well, put it this way, if the government can actually guarantee that the asset price won't drop, as they always say that we always need to look at increase in asset pricing, then there's no need for a refund. And nobody's going to guarantee you anyway, right?
Exactly, that's the point. No one can give you a guarantee of that. And market forces do determine the prices of resale flats, for instance, and private condominiums. So it's a case of society, once again, what our perceptions do to market forces and how market forces are determined by those perceptions. Thank you very much, Ben, for calling in. Let's see what Mr. Ching has to say about this.
Hi, Mr. Ching.
Hi.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning. What are your thoughts?
I wanted to raise a little bit more concern about the URA or the authority planning procedure, because my concern is with aging population, with many cremation. I'm not sure about the capacity at this moment, and is this the last minute planning? Because, like you say, Singaporeans are educated to know when perception is education towards this kind of new buildings that is going to come up. So in order to change the mindset, I think the URA can put up a real clear blueprint of such sensitive issues, of not even such thing. I mean, workers' quarter, etc. That is a little bit sensitive. And if it argued in Parliament before, put up a clear blueprint. The island is very small. Maybe you have to extend it to Pulau Ubin or wherever, so that somehow the perceptions of those who are not sensitive can go on with it. But it seems that the blueprints comes a little bit late for such issues, even hospitals, etc. So I question the planning process in this whole
I understand what you're saying, and it would cater, of course, to people who have certain sensitivities and might take objection to certain facilities being located near their homes. But shouldn't people too be asking themselves, if not in my backyard, then whose, right, Mr. Ching? People also need to change their own perceptions of what they're taking objection to.
Yeah, that is true. But like I said, for my concern, it's not going to be in this backyard, because somehow this is already allocated in Choa Chu Kang or Lim Chu Kang and Mandai. My question is there enough capacity? They should deliberate that, we have shortage of capacity, and where is going to be allocated?
Well, the URA does have a master plan for a land use master plan, so on and so forth. So maybe even more needs to be done to publicize that and to explain that to Singaporeans in general. In this case, do you think that the people at Fernvale deserve more recognition in terms of their concerns? Do they, for instance, I think deserve a refund on their flats if that's what they choose and want?
I think if it's in the brochure, there's already. I don't think they deserve anything, because everybody is educated to ask what's coming up. If it's not sensitive, they should be unaware of their own accord. I don't think they deserve a refund. I think talking about life and death, the minister has already done so because of our aging population, is some things that people take it as taboo. And I think what the ministry of, the government could do is to talk more about
life and death. I mean, there is nothing to change the mindset. But what I mean is, I'm questioning the government planning process.
Sure. So that needs to be made even more transparent and perhaps talked about a lot more in the public sphere. Thank you very much, Mr. Ching, for your comments on this. Of course, other people have brought up other issues. Why is it that non-religious commercial entities can bid for religious sites such as temples and churches? So many issues have been conflated here. If you have more to say about this, please talk to us on Official 938 Live, our Facebook page. Many thanks for your phone calls.